Hello, hello, I'm the official name rater. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today we're looking at Throh and Throh alone. We will not be pairing him with Sock because in my opinion they're two totally different Pokemon, different fighting styles, different colors, and Nido King, Nido Queen, that kind of shit. They might be similar, but they're different. So the first thing I thought when doing the intro was like, Bert and Ernie. Expect to see that. And there's Ernie, so I can at least say that. And then right above, I actually kind of hate that this works. Like, I've seen Chuck Norris so many times, and people are like, oh, we got a Bruce Lee and a Jackie Chan, let's do the Chuck Norris, But with this, it actually kind of makes sense because chuck to throw. You chuck something, you can chuck a motherfucker. How many motherfuckers could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck motherfuckers? So, like, I'm kind of okay with that. Now, part of me is like, oh, well, by itself, I don't know. Like, I'm half and half because chuck as a name versus chuck as a verb. So, I'm undecided, but I like the idea behind it. Okay. So this did make me want to pull up just real quick and make absolutely sure Judo Pokemon. Now, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I do think the idea of Sock and Throw is kind of like maybe a small little Easter egg to the Hitmon, excuse me, not Hitmon. Maybe that's what they're based off of, is trying to be Hitmonchan and Lee of Unova. But their names or styles are reflective of what the beta names for the Machamp line was, because it was Kung Fu, Judo, and Karate, probably in some different order, but that was it. And we have the Judo one, so if you wanted to use Judo as a nickname, I think rather than spelling it like that, I think it was Ju-DOH. And I think that could at least make for a nice little Easter egg reference to the Machamp line. I think we talked about it in the Machamp episode specifically, but yeah, so that's one of those, you're naming it what it's based off of, but I'm willing to let a small little bit of it slide just because you could be like, oh, remember the beta of Gen 1? Here's an Easter egg kind of thing. Other words, Judomon I don't care for, that's just Judo Digimon, and then Judoka I don't care for either. Where I talked about Chuck, I think we talked about Muscle Man with what was it, Conkeldurr, and my opinion was basically along the lines of Macho Man's better. Brutus has fucking nothing to do with whatever his description is. I don't like. He could have called it Dandelion and had the same description, and you'd have the same effect. So, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with anything. Who the fuck is Brutus? Brutus Beefcake? Is that who we're talking about? Oh! I had to think for a second. I was like, what is that? The name felt familiar. Okay, The Thing. There you go. That's not a bad idea. I think The Thing is more smashy than throwy, but I don't care. They're both muscly, sort of, and colored similarly. So yeah, I think I could go with that. If you want to just call it The Thing or just Thing, I think that would work as well. And so far, I think that's probably, Chuck's pretty good. But those are two of the highlights right there. I'm gonna write that down. So, remember the Hariyama episode where I was like, oh, Toru, and I expect that to be everywhere, and then it was nowhere? Well, we finally got someone who mentioned Toru, but it was in the wrong thing. I think Hariyama's a better choice for Toru when talking about Jackie Chan, but it's actually kind of surprising to see somebody else. Jackie Chan is one of those things where it's like, that was my childhood, but if I ask anybody, nobody out there was as interested in it as I was, if interested at all. Okay, so admittedly we didn't really find too much at all, but I don't know, I really like The Thing, so that was the highlight, I guess. Did want to mention the spreadsheet has both of them together, but unfortunately that's just talking about Sock, so we'll bring it up tomorrow, but there's that. But you know what else we have? We have comment suggestions. And I really, really like the idea of suplex and toss. I think those are good, and kind of like with the Conkeldurr episode, you're playing with the way that the Pokemon is naturally named and making a joke off that. And I think these two are kind of on the same wavelength as like in the Ditto episode where we had Likewise, where it's like, you could almost see that being an official thing, because it follows the same thing, and I just think that they're both real good. And then canon nickname Redos. Nothing to say about that. Bert and Ernie were the other thing. If I'm actually thinking about it, kind of surprised we didn't see anything paired between the two outside of them. What else is red and blue? Icy hot. Ketchup and we don't have any blue condiments, do we? Strawberry and blueberry. Okay, we got it. Remember Plusle and Minen? Plusle, Manoon? Hate them. Think like that. Let's think about that for a minute. If you have paired nickname suggestions, I do think those are stronger and they work well together. That's kind of the reason why I'm like willing to let Bert and Ernie. Problem is you gotta send them both out at the same time, or at least in the same team at some point, and then like the joke sets itself. Because if you name them, if you do that and then they're not on the same team, then no one's gonna be able to understand because they only have half the puzzle, you know. So let's think about some combined nicknames. The Thing and Chuck were my favorite, not counting Nos's suplex and throw, or suplex and toss. I like those too. But this is kind of and Judo, I suppose, if going off the Kanto beta, then that one's fine. Not actual Judo, not Judo, Ju-DOH. That's better. But I mean, that's it. There's not too much. So this one's open-ended. You have all the freedom in the world, all the tools. Play with it, and if you can think of something to pair the two together, then go for it. Like let's do this thing, man. Let's put our comment suggestions down below. Tell us what you've used, would recommend, and thumbs up other people's stuff. And yeah, you know, I forget the Fantastic Four exists. So like. It wasn't until I saw Clobber in Time that I got it. When was the last time Fantastic Four, like, was talked about? Because I feel like it was 2002. I don't remember when the film came out, but it was a long time ago. I just don't want to hear she died in a rock slide.